Welcome to our deep dive on why a one-year study abroad could jeopardize your U.S. lawful permanent residency. To set the stage, we will explain how immigration law looks beyond mere time abroad and focuses on your intent and ties. Next, we will show how a re-entry permit can be crucial, and we will also cover academic pitfalls like credit transfer and employer expectations. Finally, we will include practical steps, case scenarios, and quizzes to solidify your understanding. Let's begin. Here is our roadmap. First, we will unpack the controversial truth that intent, not only duration, drives abandonment risk. Second, we will examine the re-entry permit and how it protects you. Third, we will discuss how to maintain credible U.S. ties. Fourth, we will cover academic hurdles and employer perceptions. Fifth, we will walk through a clear action plan. Sixth, we will test your understanding with quizzes. Finally, we will close with a disclaimer and key takeaways. Before we go further, please note this is educational content, not legal advice. Immigration rules and agency practices can change, and your facts matter. Therefore, you should consult a qualified U.S. immigration attorney before making decisions about studying abroad or extended travel. Now let's clarify the core principle. Many permanent residents think staying under 6 months abroad keeps them safe. However, that is an oversimplification. Officers assess your intent, which they infer from your primary ties, such as where you live, work, study, file taxes, and conduct daily life. Brief weekend returns to the United States every few months do not cure the problem if your life is demonstrably abroad for a year. If your primary domicile is overseas, you may face an abandonment finding, regardless of exact durations. Quiz time. What matters most for LPR abandonment risk when studying abroad? Option A, only the number of days abroad. Option B, intent and primary ties shown by your lifestyle. Option C, the number of weekend trips back to the United States. Option D, the country you visit. You may pause the video now to think about your answer. We will discuss the answer in the next section. The correct answer is B. Officers focus on your intent and primary ties. They examine whether your real life is set up abroad, including housing, employment or schooling, and tax behavior. While duration triggers scrutiny, intent ultimately drives abandonment risk. When you anticipate being outside the United States for more than 6 months, the safest path is to apply for a re-entry permit using Form I-131 before departure. This document signals that your absence is planned and temporary. Without it, trying to re-enter after a prolonged absence can place your status at significant risk. Here is a step-by-step plan. First, file Form I-131 while you are physically in the United States. Second, wait for your biometrics appointment and remain in the country until you complete it. Third, after biometrics, you can depart and have the document mailed to your U.S. address or follow agency instructions. Fourth, travel with your green card and the re-entry permit once it is issued. Fifth, maintain strong U.S. ties such as a residence, bank accounts, tax filings as a U.S. resident, a valid driver's license, and avoid participating in foreign elections. Sixth, keep records showing temporary intent including a time-limited lease abroad, a letter from the university showing program dates, a return itinerary, and documentation of a leave of absence from a U.S. employer if applicable. Seventh, understand that the permit facilitates re-entry, but will not necessarily overcome the evidence if your entire life is abroad. To maintain credibility that your residence remains in the United States, curate tangible ties. Housing evidence includes leases, mortgages, or a room in a family home with utility bills. Employment or income documentation might include an employer letter, W-2 forms, and pay stubs. For taxes, file as a U.S. resident when required, and keep transcripts. Banking and bills demonstrate ongoing financial activity. Identification and professional licenses show continued jurisdictional ties. Community involvement such as memberships or volunteering helps. Finally, provide documentation of temporary travel intent, like round-trip bookings, and a university letter specifying program dates. Next, let's address the academic side. Many students assume credits will transfer seamlessly, but foreign systems can differ significantly. Therefore, obtain written pre-approval from your U.S. academic advisor and registrar for each course. Also, keep syllabi, reading lists, and graded work to substantiate course content. Plan for the possibility that some credits will not transfer, and build time into your graduation plan. From an employment perspective, some U.S. employers may prefer candidates whose degrees are completed predominantly in the U.S., especially for entry-level positions. For professional programs, verify that foreign coursework aligns with accreditation and does not undermine the perceived value of your U.S. degree. Here is a quick comparison. First, the belief that under 6 months abroad is always safe is inaccurate. Intent and ties matter more. Second, weekend trips to reset the clock can signal an attempt to game the system and may trigger scrutiny. Third, the re-entry permit must be applied for while you are physically present in the United States. Fourth, the permit facilitates re-entry but does not guarantee admission. Officers still assess your ties and intent. Finally, credit transfer is not guaranteed. Pre-approval is essential. And even then, not all credits may count. This timeline depicts a typical one-year study abroad plan enhanced by a re-entry permit. In month 0, the student files Form I-131 while in the United States. By month 1, they complete biometrics. Immediately after biometrics, they depart. From months 2 through 11, they study abroad while actively maintaining U.S. ties, such as housing, banking, taxes, and identification. At month 6, they conduct a check-in with their university advisor to validate credit mapping. Finally, at month 12, they return and present the re-entry permit with their green card, then complete credit evaluations and resume their U.S. academic program. Second quiz. When must a permanent resident apply for a re-entry permit for a one-year study abroad? Option A, before leaving the United States. Option B, after arriving abroad. Option C, any time within 180 days of departure. Option D, at the airport on return. You may pause the video now to think about your answer. We will discuss the answer in the next section. The correct answer is A. You must file Form I-131 while physically present in the United States and complete biometrics before departing. Filing from abroad is not permitted. This mind map organizes the categories of evidence demonstrating you maintain residence in the United States. The central node is maintaining U.S. residence. The branches include housing, such as leases or a room with family and utility bills, taxes, including resident filings and transcripts, financial ties, such as bank accounts, credit cards, and recurring bills, identification, including a valid driver's license, state identification, and professional licenses, employment or school documentation, such as employer leave of absence letters and academic advisor confirmations, evidence of temporariness like round-trip itineraries, a foreign lease with a defined end date and a program letter, and travel documents including your green card, re-entry permit, and copies stored securely. Let's test these principles with scenarios. First, spending roughly 11 months abroad while popping back to the United States for short weekends is still high risk for abandonment, because your life is clearly overseas. Second, if you hold a re-entry permit and maintain strong U.S. ties, your position is significantly safer, but admission is never guaranteed. Third, even with a permit, lacking credible U.S. ties such as employment, tax filings, and housing remains risky. Fourth, regarding naturalization, a re-entry permit does not preserve continuous residence for citizenship purposes. Form N-470 is limited to certain qualifying employment situations and typically does not apply to study. Finally, always maintain documentation showing your absence is temporary, including program dates, a return plan, and concrete reasons to return. Here are the key takeaways. Intent and ties matter more than raw time abroad. Apply for your re-entry permit before you leave and finish biometrics in the United States. Maintain strong U.S. ties and document the temporary nature of your absence. Pre-approve coursework with your U.S. institution and expect that not all credits will transfer. Finally, remember that the re-entry permit facilitates re-entry but does not guarantee it. To summarize, file your I-131 while in the United States and complete biometrics before departure. Build and document your U.S. ties continuously. Obtain written pre-approval for each foreign course. Keep a robust paper trail including syllabi, financial records, leases, letters, and travel itineraries. Plan your return and schedule an immediate follow-up with your registrar to finalize credit evaluations. Thank you for watching. If this helped you understand the risks and protections for studying abroad as a permanent resident, please like the video, share it with someone planning a program, and subscribe for more immigration-savvy student guidance. In the comments, tell us where you're headed and how you plan to protect your status.